One, two, three, four. All right, all right. Come on. Like the legend of the Phoenix, all ends with the beginning. What keeps that planet spinning? The force from the beginning. Well, we've come too far to give up who we are. So let's raise a bar and our cups to the stars. We're up all night for good fun. We're up all night to get some. We're up all night to the sun. We're up all night to get luck.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another exciting edition of the Goody Reader Radio Show. We've taken a bit of a hiatus, but we're going to bring the show back every week and talk about the most important events in the e-reader, ebook, and audiobook space. Let's just jump right into e-readers, shall we? We've just reviewed the Pocketbook InkPad 3. This is a brand new e-reader, pretty well like one of the first of 2018 to be released. It's dual core processor, 1 gig of RAM, 8 gigs of internal storage. It's the first e-reader from Pocketbook to go beyond 6 inches in many years. This one's 7.8 inches, so it's firmly competing against the Tolino Epos as well as the Kobo Aura 1. This one's made of plastic. The overall design is a bit flimsy, but it makes it really lightweight. It has 19 LED lights, 10 white, 9 orange. It's using sort of that comfort light, smart light system that you could mute the bright white color of the frontlit display. It's meant to be easier on the eyes so you could read up in the dark. We're going to be posting reviews and unboxing videos pretty shortly. So if you want to see what that's all about, you can check out our front page or just go to goodyreader.com and click on reviews. Or you can even visit our YouTube channel at youtube.com/goodyreader. Sony is developing a brand new e-reader. It's called the DPT CP1, which means that this is a digital paper, and I believe the new moniker of the CP1 means it's going to be a smaller device. Not much is known about it at this time, but I have a feeling it's, Sony's done like 2 generations of 13.3. I believe that it's time for them to release a smaller device because digital paper is pretty well just aimed at like business users, schools, the entertainment industry, lawyers, and law firms. It's the type of people that aren't just buying one, they're buying between like 10, 100, or more. And if you're buying 13.3s, they can get pretty expensive. Whereas if Sony releases a smaller one, which I believe that they're doing here, it's going to be more economically feasible them to market like bulk packages and sales because they're in essence paying less money. The digital paper on its own, anywhere between like $6.99 and $8.99, it's pretty expensive. If they do like a 10.3, a 9.7, and they're competing against like the Remarkable, the Onyx Book Note, and other companies like that, they could be onto something here because Sony has that brand name. When you think of Sony, I mean, they've been in the game for so long that they're synonymous with quality, and a lot of people come to trust like their brand. All we know about is that there's an FCC application that they filled out. The embargo for the images and the specs expire in 6 months, so probably any time from now to 6 months, we'll see this being commercially released. It'll probably hit Japan first, like normal, and then a few months later, it'll hit the US. It's in mass production. Electronics is actually the company that's making it. Speaking of the Onyx Book Note, this e-reader is going to be released next week. And I really am digging this. I mean, quad-core processor, 2 gigs of RAM, 10.3-inch screen, Android 6.0 with Google Play. I mean, this e-reader is going to really have it all. And I'm really stoked about it. It's been sent out to us for review. It just got sent out yesterday, so I'm expecting Friday or maybe Tuesday at the latest we'll actually have it. So early next week, you can expect a review on the front page of our blog as well as unboxing and review videos. Now, I mentioned unboxing and review videos. And I kind of feel like our production values have leveled up. You know, if Good e-reader was like, a Dungeons and Dragons character, we'd probably be like level 10 by now. We've been producing like digital content for our channel since like 2008. And I kind of laugh sometimes because people are commenting on like our earliest videos and like, you guys have come a long way and I watched them and it's like we didn't have studio lights, we had a lamp. And we put the lamp on a glass table and we put like a wrinkled tea towel underneath it in order to like block all my books and stuff like below it. And then, we invested in like proper studio lights. Now, these are like tripod mounted professional lights with shutters, 600-watt lights that were like literally 2 feet from us. And after like filming 2 or 3 videos in our small little studio, it got so hot in there, even in the wintertime, that we had to stop filming, open up the door, and like go outside and take like a breather. In the summertime, when it got to like 30 Celsius, like during the days, it would get up to like 50 just with those lights on. And to give you sort of an indication, I live in Vancouver and we do like a lot of movies and television shows here: Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, Logan, Deadpool 2. I mean, a lot of the biggest Marvel films are filmed here, or at least like a lot of like their scenes are shot here, and they have our lights for the most part, like illuminating. If they do like nighttime shoots, obviously they have like lights so that the character's illuminated and his general surroundings are illuminated, but it's kind of like set up to be darkness. But it's kind of funny that they're using these lights that are so far, but they're illuminating the characters so well that we had to invest in like better lights. So we got recently, I think in November, we got these like LED lights that are only 30 watt and they emit like no heat at all. So it's kind of taking us a little bit of trials to get like the lighting set up right. And then probably around like October of last year, we also upgraded our camera from just like, an interchangeable lens camera. It was like a bit older, into like a prosumer like Sony like camera that interchangeable lenses. It has all these features that we don't even know how to work. And Peter went to film school, like to study film, but a lot of this stuff is like so new that we have like no idea. So we're still in that trial and error stage. But I feel like if you look at videos that we did the beginning of 2017 and then videos that we've done in 2018 and at the tail end of 2017, you'll see that like our overall video production quality has dramatically improved. And I really like it because we're able to customize it. So when we do like unboxings and reviews, we have like one kind of setup that we do. And then when Peter and I, or just myself, are on camera, sort of writing down the biggest stories of the week, sort of like a news segment. We set it up so it's totally different. So we're changing like the white balance and everything like that, and it's catching the attention of people. I mean, we just got invited to go to Digital Book World, and this is an event that's been happening for like 6 7 years. It's always happened in New York, and then in 2017, Digital Book World was sold by FNW Media, F plus W Media, to like another company, and they moved it from New York to Nashville. So in October, this is when the first event is like happening. And Digital Book World's usually occurred in January in the past. Like, have you ever read our website or other websites like Publishers Weekly? They would often be there in New York because they're based in New York and report on all the events and stuff like that. But it's gone to Nashville this time, which is closer for a lot of those Midwestern states like Chicago and stuff to get to. It's not too far from New York. It's a little far from Vancouver. But then again, anything that's not on the West Coast is pretty far, like a 5 or 6 hour flight. But yeah, we were invited to set up our YouTube studio right in the central hall. Lights, chairs, um, mics and everything like that. And we're going to be interviewing all of the movers and shakers in the publishing business and talking about ebooks and audiobooks, the intersection between digital media and like traditional media. We're going to be talking with like Amazon, all like the big five publishers, everyone involved in like startups and everything like that. So uh, we're gonna do that, and it's gonna be occurring sometime, I believe, in October. And so we're kind of stoked about setting that all up. And I was tapped to lead a discussion. The itinerary and everything like that for the event's not set in stone yet, so I don't know exactly what I'm gonna do, but probably something about audiobooks because I've been publishing these like 12,000 word, 3 months to research like articles once a year on like audiobooks trends and analysis. Been doing it for like 4 or 5 years. And I talk to like everybody, dude. Like whoever involved in like libraries like Overdrive and 3M and Baker and Taylor and RB Digital to uh like audiobook retailers like audiobooks.com, Audible, um, you know, everyone involved in that to the public, like the whoever are the companies that are publishing these sort of things. So Audible for original content, Penguin Random House, Harper Audio, um, Hachette Audio. I talked to like everybody. So it's cool because my pieces are less about, yeah, this is what's happening in the audiobook industry, but you're hearing like what these companies are actually doing that in the words of like the people who are running these divisions. So it's like when I talk to like the president of like Harper Audio or Hachette Audio, I'm talking like to the president of the entire division. So it's something that hasn't really been done in the audiobook industry like ever. No one's really publishing these sort of things, not even like for paid money. And I've seen like a lot of like ebook and e-reader reports occur lately where my Google News feed's being spammed about these like $3,900 reports, and I got like a segment of it, and most of it's just in stuff that I've written on the blog, like these big reports I issue for free. They like do a little bit of rewriting, and then they're like charging like $2,900 for them. I think that's just kind of shady. That's like, I've been running this blog for like since like 2007, when the year the very first Kindle came out. Like when I saw the Kindle, I was like, okay, this is the future of reading. So started up Goody Reader, started talking about the Kindle. Kobo came into it with like their e-reader. I'm like, oh my god. And then Barnes and Noble started to do it. Then all these like European brands started doing e-readers. I remember going to CES in 2006, no e-readers. 2007, no e-readers. 2008 to 9, e-readers up the ass. It was sort of like what's sort of happening with the Internet of Things, like augmented reality, virtual reality. I mean, there was nothing, and then it's just within a year, everybody's just like involved in it. And who would have thought, in 2007 that e-readers would have been so huge, that ebooks went from like nothing to like 20% of publishers like revenue. It's people are just making a ton of money in this field, and it's like it's kind of really great at the same time because like we've been covering it since like the very beginning of like there was no e-readers, there was no ebooks, or I mean there was the Kindle, but there was no really like ebooks. And then within like 3 or 4 years it just like it totally exploded. So, do you know what like Goody Reader is all about? Hopefully, you're like a regular reader here. We publish between like 5 and 7 stories a day. We have like 2 or 3 staff writers, as well as like people who once in a while do like guest posts like for us. People who are just in the business and have like an opinion to write. And we do like discussion type things like, what do you think? Do you think that the Kindle and their claims that it's easier on the eyes, is there a marketing gimmick, or is there something to it? And then people just like weigh in their comments, and we sort of like write a primer on like what paper technology is, what frontline technology is, what Amazon claims, here's what some research and reports have said, and then people sort of like weigh in. So we sort of do things like that, but primarily we cover e-reader hardware, e-reader news, ebooks and audiobooks for sure, and then to a lesser degree on like digital manga. What's happening with like Alexa, because like voice assistants I think are huge, but only in the respects that they narrate audiobooks, they'll narrate ebooks into an audiobook and things like that. I think that there's something kind of really interesting about that. What do you guys think about um do you think like ebooks will be around in like 10 years or so? I've been kind of wrestling with this lately, and I kind of don't know what to think, because like within a decade ebooks went from like nothing to something huge. And you'll always see that ebooks are declining, and perhaps they are. It's sort of really hard to say because so many ebooks don't have like ISBN numbers. Especially Amazon represents such a huge segment of the ebook sales, but they don't publicly divulge sales. They don't say, oh, we sold this many ebooks a year. And then some people like Data Guy, um, and Hugh Howey, they scrape Amazon sales, and they could say, yeah, this many romance titles were sold this year, this many of this many of that, and they could actually monitor sales from non-ISBN numbers. But when you look at like Nielsen and BookScan and like all these other companies that are officially tracking digital books from major publishers with ISBN numbers, retail channels and everything like that, a lot of people look at that and they'll say, "Oh yeah, ebooks declined 8%, 16%, etc." But then they're not counting Amazon sales or non-ISBN sales, which contribute a huge amount. So it's kind of unknown at this point if ebooks are declining. A lot of headlines will lead you to believe, but I don't really think that's the case. But suffice to say, I mean, where are ebooks going to go in a decade from now? I mean, are we going to be reading in virtual reality? Is AR going to play a huge point in that? When you're waiting for, like right now, there are, if you live in a bigger city, you take like the subway, you take the bus, you go to work, and once in a while you see an e-reader, and you'll be like, yeah, you'll kind of nod your head, and maybe you'll kind of like give them a little smile, maybe you'll even say something to them. But everyone is reading on their smartphones because it's the thing that's in our pocket. Everyone has a phone to get calls, to get texts, to stay in touch, meetings, and all that type of stuff. But w- it's still, phones are getting bigger, they're getting bulkier. I mean, I heard a rumor that the new iPhone that's coming out this year is going to be close to 6.7 inches. That's almost as big as like a Fire tablet that's 7 inches. Imagine having that in your pocket. It's huge. So I was kind of thinking about, what are we going to do? Are we going to get to that point in a decade? Because obviously, a decade, we're not going to like be plugging in data jacks into our heads, or like, having like words drawn on our eyes with like retinas. This isn't like those sort of futuristic Netflix shows or anything like that, or like Blade Runner. But are we still going to be like just reading a paperback book? Like, hardcover book, is that how we're going to read? Are we still going to be reading on our smartphone a decade from now, or are books going to be available in our glasses? Because why pull a big bulky, like, 1,020, $1,200 iPhone, and then you drop into screen breaks, to wearing your pair of prescription glasses that are, you can see everything, but then there's like text that you could just read, or virtual reality. I kind of think that like there's something to virtual reality. Like, not all of us can travel, not all of us can afford to travel, but like going to a big library in Rome, or going to Paris, or checking out Shakespeare and Co. in New York, and walking into a total recreation of a bookstore, grabbing a book from the shelf, just clicking on it, buying it for like $6.99, and then like, you know, with virtual reality or something like that, okay, I want to read this book. Let's go to Japan and sit um as all the cherry trees are blooming, and you cherry trees, like the flowers are flowing everywhere, and you're just sitting there curled up reading a book. I mean, I think that that's the future. It's virtual reality. Right now, I mean, if you look at it, they're big goggles that are tied into your computer. And then Oculus Go and a few other type of platforms are getting streamlined. You no longer have to plug them into your computer. They have hardware and everything built into it that you could actually be portable, but you still have to be around like Wi-Fi. 5G Wi-Fi is like around the corner. You've probably heard all about that. That's sort of like built around the Internet of Things and virtual reality and like general. I think that what is going to be interesting is how well received that Ready Player One movie is that's coming out next month, because that whole movie is like pretty well a virtual reality like manifesto. And if you've ever never read Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, I would suggest reading it. The book was published in 2011, and it's still in a top 10 list for best-selling books and best-selling audiobooks, like, 9 years later. So this book is handed out to all new employees at Oculus. So from interns to people who are just working at the company, this book is given to like to the new employee along with the employee handbook. And you have to read this book before you can start working there. And that's just because like this book pretty well talks about sort of how like what virtual reality is going to morph into. And this is probably one of my favorite books. I've read it like half a dozen times. I've listened to the audiobook like twice because it's read by Will Wheaton, and he has just like a really good voice in terms of just being able to chill and like listen. He's done Armada by Ernest Cline too, which is like his second book, but has nothing to do with like Ready Player One. I mean, yeah, I mean, if you've never read the book, I don't want to give you any spoilers or anything like that, but it's sort of it's like this 3D virtual reality world that takes all the like the popular things from other video games. So if you say MMORPGs like World of Warcraft, Star Wars: The Old Republic, Guild Wars, all these sort of deep RPG worlds, you know, you have to pay monthly subscriptions for them, and cumulatively over time, the user base is declining, and that's why like a lot of them have embraced like the free to play mechanic where you can play for free up into such a point, or you have like some sort of like limitations on how many items you can have, how much gold, and things like that. But Ready Player One was kind of like, well, what we can see is that instead of playing those games simultaneously, subscribing to this, subscribing to that, subscribing to that, you just bring all those games into a virtual reality world. So you can go to the World of Warcraft planet, you can go to the Guild Wars planet, you can go to the Star Wars like planet, and whatever items that you got from those planets would carry with you planet to planet to different places. So you can get like a suit of magical armor from World of Warcraft and get some like Han Solo blaster pistol from Star Wars, and then your character looks like totally unique, totally interesting. But I mean, that's like the mechanic of being in a 3D world. I'm more or less interested in what it's going to be like reading, and that's something that Ready Player One never like really explained. They kind of mentioned that people would be going to school in 3D because you know with global warming and like all this craziness like happening in the world, it's pretty easy to for rich people to get homeschooled and have their own tutors. But like for the rest of us, especially if you live in urban places and you go to a crappy school that are overcrowded, the teachers can't afford basic materials. There's constant cutbacks in education. Whereas, like, if you start like an educational type thing in virtual reality, I mean, you have everything digitally available to you. And why do you need a pencil when you could just like just write on like a notepad, and you don't need pencils. You don't need to bring all this stuff like with you. So I kind of think that like virtual reality is kind of like the future of like everything, including reading. But I still don't really know how reading is going to be handled. So thanks for listening to the Good E-Reader Radio Show. Today we've talked about all these new e-readers that are coming out. I'm kind of stoked to see what the reception will be like for the Rose Gold or the Champagne Gold Kindle Oasis 2. There's a lot of people that are really interested in this. It's really kind of the first time that Amazon has ever said, hey, we're going to offer another color option. They've all done graphite black. I mean, if you look at the e-reader industry in general, everything is graphite black. Most sometimes like the back of the case will be a different color, but in essence they'll all be black. And that's they do it because like an e-paper screen and black text, if you have a black border, it helps the text pop. So this rose gold model will have gold accents on the side and gold on the back. It'd be like $30 extra because they're not doing the 8 gig model, they're doing like the 32 gig models, the baseline. So you'll have more storage for your books, which is kind of cool. And I hope that Amazon does this as like a trend for all of their models. Right now, it's not too sure what markets actually have this. I know it's the US, I know it's Germany, I know it's the UK. If you have like, if you live in another country and you know it's the rose gold option, drop a comment below. Thanks for listening, everyone. This has been the Gritty Reader Radio Show. My name is Michael, and everybody take care.